I grew up in a household where gender roles were not enforced.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I was raised by like pretty hippie parents on
I was
like
gonna ask, I was
a
like,
homestead in the woods where we like grew all our own food and like all this.
that's fun. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
cool.
it was a beautiful childhood. I was just like running around in nature all the time, and like didn't have a strong understanding of gender at all because like gender was not enforced
Right.
like it is in so many other households. And
Mhm.
like it wasn't until uh I started going into, and I remember this very clearly when I
Mhm.
was like very young and I first started going into school for the first time.
Mhm.
That is where I
Mhm.
was learning about the gender binary because it was not enforced in my home, but
Mhm.
it was enforced by my classmates and my teachers at school,
Right.
and that's where I was learning about it.
Right.
And so then I would like come home with these questions, like because I was so confused, like what the
Hey,
gender,
like,
um, and being like if a man is this and a woman is this, like what am I? um, and getting these answers from my like super feminist mom being like, oh, you're a tomboy, honey, this is like because like that's what like
that was the
you expect, um
that was the understanding of what we had back then. Like,
yeah, yeah, but like i think um I think there are a lot of parents who are very scared to tell their children about trans people
mm,
because they're scared that their children will be trans.
have you
And
seen have you seen the turf book? That's like I can't fucking remember what it's called, but it's literally like the trans craze, how to protect your daughters from
oh my god,
turning into trans men is like that's not the title of it, but it's like that's literally like what it is. And
awful.
it, it it's scary to think of transness as like it's scary and also funny to me to think of transness as like a disease or like something that you can be bit by and be like, oh, because it really is this fucking thing of like once you start pulling that thread on the sweater, there's event,
It'll just
event
unravel the whole world for you.
and I promise you, you will end up a big fucking you know what by the end of it. I by the way, I like using like queer slurs, but I don't use them right off the bat if I don't like know a queer person really well because
Yeah,
I don't want anyone to be like, ouch, ooh, hearing that word.
yeah,
We've seen owie, but I love the T slur. I also know that the T slur is controversial amongst the trans community, but I love the F slur and the D slur. I love them all. Oh.
yeah. I like that's yeah. I love reclaiming words that have
I
been
love reclaiming words.
used to hurt trans
So
people.
funny. Like
Um,
also in my writer brain, I'm like
yeah, yeah,
words.
because it takes the power back. Like you can't hurt me with this.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Um.
But,
Anyway.
uh, about parents
Yeah.
not wanting to tell their kids about trans people
Yeah.
out of fear that their kids might be trans. Like the
Yeah.
thing is, like, if your kid is trans, they are going to be trans whether you tell them that trans people exist or not,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And they will grow up and they will learn about trans people at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do, they will begin their journey of self love. But if you, as a parent, teach your kids about trans people from the very beginning, from like the moment you start teaching them about gender, if you also teach them that trans people exist and like teach them that that is okay because it is natural, it is human,
Yeah.
then your child, whether they are trans or cis, will be able to be their true, honest selves without so much self-hatred.
Truly.
You know, because the only thing that like hiding the truth from your children will do is it will cause your children to hate themselves.
Yeah.
If they are trans.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish there was, it saddens me when I think about like a big trope surrounding anti-transness being just like fear of us, a fear of our bodies, fear of confronting us and thus confronting something inside yourself. It's so sad when I think about it because I hate this trope more than anything of like the scary trans like freak like trope of almost botched, almost Frankenstein-esque. Just makes me so sad, and I like can feel so much fear that like comes from that and like bleeds into parents, and like they, you know, create these monstrous images that aren't even that monstrous at all. I mean, it's, you know, but and then they're like, I would never want that to happen to my child.
Yeah.
Well, why would you do anything other than support your child with whatever that made them happy?
Right.
On a baseline. Yeah. Something that really scared my parents when I first came out was like the medical kind of aspect of it, was like the really physically manifesting piece of it. Because I really knew that certain gender affirming procedures were going to be really important to my survival.
Yeah.
And they were so terrified by that. And I think that's also where I get kind of a lot of my old internalization, is because I struggled so much with that and trying to tell them like, I'm still me. In fact, I'll be a better version of me.
Yes.
Like,
yes,
so happy. And fighting so hard to get that scene like damaged me in ways that like I had to unlearn this thing of like, you were only valid if you went through that particular pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I, you know, it saddens me to think that I impose that on other trans people. But I'm also like, you know, it saddens me to think of myself having been kind of dragged through this, like, you're about to ruin yourself and you're not going to be who I thought you were, and I don't even know you, and you're not my child, and you're dead to me kind of shit. This is sort of like one of the many mind fucks of being trans, is the fact that like your simple existence sends other people into frantic tizzies.
It does. Because like the gender binary is so enforced in our culture.
When it exactly.
In like powerful ways that like shape like everything about how we engage with the world and how we engage with people. And when somebody like encounters a trans person, that is like totally shaking all of these like,
we're not supposed to exist.
Yeah, ideas that they have, and they don't know how to engage with us.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, you do, which must mean that this thing I thought wasn't true, which means that this other thing I thought wasn't true, which means, and then they're like, okay, I don't want to confront it anymore, and you have to go away.
Yeah, but we're here and we're not going away.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, you know, I think it's important to acknowledge that, like, you know, it is really hard to unlearn the gender binary.
Yeah.
Like as trans people, we know this. We have been through it. We have like had to in order to survive. Like unlearning all of those social constructions is a difficult process. And like, I have empathy for cis people, like encountering trans people and being confused, you know? Like we went through that confusion too.
Right.
And you know, I think it's also important to yeah, it is confusing for people, and that's okay. And like, you can be confused, but just like, also, we just want respect as human beings, you know? Like, you don't have to get us, you don't have to understand us. You can just like treat us with decency as a human. And like, you don't have to understand, you just have to like use the language that we're telling you to.
Just like with any person.
Yeah.
You have to understand that, because you're not going to.